Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Manhasset Realty Group podcast. I'm your host, Nick Sforza, the broker owner of the Manhasset Realty Group, where we specialize in listing and selling homes for our clients while netting them more money than any other brokerage. If you're thinking of selling a home, please contact me for a free market appraisal. We specialize in residential real estate, and we cover all of Long Island and Queens, and our niche is definitely estate sales, distress sales, and downsizers. We'd love to help out each and every one of you, so please keep us in mind if you need our services. So in addition to having a passion for real estate, I also have a passion for physical fitness, working out, and just living an all-around healthy lifestyle. So I decided to make today's episode all about wellness, not just being healthy physically, but also internally and mentally, and wanted to talk about how we can connect that to our home life, which hopefully adds to that all-around healthy lifestyle instead of harming it. So today, I decided to invite Dr. John Gehnrich, who is someone who truly understands that connection. Dr. John is a very respected chiropractor and holistic healer based in Rockville Center. He's been helping people live a more balanced, healthy lifestyle for years through chiropractic practice, while encouraging them to implement a natural, whole-body approach to care. So Dr. John, welcome. It's great to have you here. I know we've been trying to do this for a while, so I'm happy you're here, and I'm excited to have this podcast with you.
It's a blessing, Nick. Personally and professionally, you're a pleasure to be with.
Thanks.
We've had great conversations. A lot of them around health and wellness.
Yeah.
And of course, your real estate and just your business acumen is always a pleasure to just be in your presence.
Thank you, bud.
I hope to turn on your clients to just the health and wellness models that we've been practicing for over 28 years.
Definitely.
And I think we'll make a big difference. I want people to come away with something that's going to really make a difference in their lives, not just information, but like really something they can put their teeth into and maybe come away with something that makes them a little healthier today.
That's awesome, because we always talk about taking care of ourselves. You know, whenever we meet and try to talk business, I think 50-60% of our conversation is routines, health, you know, how do we balance that craziness? So definitely wanted to bring you on. Before we get into the meat of it, why don't you take the time to introduce yourself to my audience, you know, tell them who you are personally, professionally, you know, why, you know, how you got into chiropractic and holistic healing and so on.
One of my favorite conversations. You know, I'm very passionate about what I do, only because every day of my life I get to see people take their situations, oftentimes a last resort, and be able to see them actually shift and change after trying so many different modalities and so many different doctors and even just healers and even other chiropractors. And then when we work with them, we get to see them shift their lives, not just physically pain-wise, but also their potential. They're getting back to the lifestyles that they've missed, the working out that you enjoy and that I enjoy as well, just enjoying your kids, your grandkids, playing ball, things that you just can't get the chance to do. And what brought my passion to chiropractic is I was a martial art guy back when I was younger. It took it up to third degree black belt when I was was from like 8 years old all the way up to like in my 20s. Mm-hmm. And one of the fellow black belts was a chiropractor, and he used to practice on us when he was going to chiropractic school. Yeah. And I just knew I had it in my hands. So I used to go around massaging everybody on the table, feeling their spines, and then eventually I started manipulating and adjusting people before he was a chiropractor. Yeah. You always get, like, you need to be trained, but I just had it in my head, heart, and hands to be able to help people heal. Mm-hmm. I thought about a physical therapy, doctor of osteopathy, even medical doctor, but I really found that healing with my hands, it just kind of came intuitively to me. Nice. So my practice in Rockville Center, Rhino Chiropractic and Holistic Wellness Center, has been there for about 25 years now. Yeah. So we're very blessed to be there.
I know you're located there. I love Rockville Center. I sold a few homes there not too long ago.
It's a great time.
Both were estate sales, and one thing I picked up there was the people that used to live there loved the town. You know, it was sad for them to let go of the house. Yeah. The people that were coming to purchase the home, great people.
Usually young families, probably, right?
Like nice, diverse area, great vibe. I used to love going to Organic Crush or Starbucks over there.
That's it.
Even Casey's, like great spots there.
It's fantastic.
What drew you to Rockville Center? Was it just out of luck? Or?
Well, I'm right on that strip that you just mentioned. I'm on the south side of North Park, which is like kind of the main street of Rockville Center. That quaint South Shore feel where you have families, soccer, football, lacrosse, everything prioritizing around the family. Yeah. And there's more of a health conscious, like a lot of doctors, medical doctors, orthopedics. It's kind of like the hub for people from Queens, people from even the north will come to Rockville Center to kind of get the doctors that are there. Mm-hmm. And I think I've attracted the people who maybe weren't able to be helped by those different groups out there that maybe were giving drugs or surgery or different ways that just wasn't really getting where they need to be. Physical therapy is great, but like doing it over and over without a result can get people really frustrated.
Gotcha.
So
nice. So let's talk about how our environment affects our health. I think that's the big reason why I wanted you to bring you in here. It's somewhat connected to real estate. So, obviously I'm in real estate. I'm a broker. I'm often telling clients that, your home should be your sanctuary, especially buyers. When they're looking, I tell them, you should feel at peace when you're in a home before you make that big decision. So I'm curious, from your perspective, how much do you think our environment actually influences our overall health? Do you ever see people's stress or physical tension being tied to things like the clutter, noise in the house, or just the energy of the home or workspace?
That's a great question. I have patients from all different walks of life. I have people who are, business executives that work in the city that have to do that intense transportation, and commute from back and forth to the city, but they don't have a lot of time, so they need to come in and get an efficient adjustment. And then a lot of folks, who are housewives, who are, running the kids around and in that stressed environment of trying to juggle, all the needs of the home and their own. And oftentimes, you'll have a mom, typically, or a wife that doesn't really have the ability to really give themselves that attention. Yeah. So environment like feng shui and just environment as far as the air purification or even the bed you sleep in or even just the water filtration system, these are things that we, being a holistic center, help to turn people onto more natural ways and subtle things that they might not realize, drinking out of plastic and the hormone disturbance that it causes in your different estrogen disturbance and it creates miscommunication to the system. So my focus is how to be able to clear some of the clutter in their bodies. And then environmentally, of course, feng shui and just having the environment be open. We talked about, the lighting and the light, of course, is oftentimes, we're in fluorescent lights oftentimes or LEDs, which give a vibration. So some people will try to get the light bulbs that have more of the, the sunlight type of thing. So it kind of mimics that. Vitamin D is one of those things you can only get out in the sun or through supplementation. So there's a lot of different ways of bringing that into the home. The biggest thing is you spend a third of your life in your bed. So I really talk a lot about the bed and the pillow and posture. So that's really kind of some things I can expand on as we continue our conversation.
Yeah, definitely. I'm my own personal life, like my house it's amazing how more focused I am, how more time on task I am when my house is more organized. I love the natural sunlight. When the windows are open, the natural sun is in there. I'm just in a better mood. Just love being home. When you get like the winter, the darker feeling, it's just like it doesn't have that same vibe. I have 4 kids. They have this habit of throwing their shoes all over the floor, and I have to constantly remind them, where things go. And I have to admit it, like it bothers me a little bit. I walk in and it's like if things are not where they're supposed to be, it's hard for me to focus on tasks at home.
You're my wife and I and yourself will have a lot of conversation. We have a sock issue in our house, so socks get thrown off and okay, what's going on here?
It's not a sock issue, but it's a laundry and a shoe issue. My wife does the laundry, God bless her. She leaves it there, and then people just let it sit there, and to the point where I'm like taking up stuff for them. I can't take it. And the shoe thing, they just leave it by the front door, and it just bothers me. I could be sitting home doing work, and I'm like, let me just get those shoes out of the front door and say someone comes home.
So you have 4, I have 3. I have a 15, a 13, and a 7-year-old, all boys. And you can imagine the energy in the house. So the 15 and the 13-year-old, we actually have delegated, I don't know if your kids are going to like this too much, but we've delegated the fact that they have to fold the clothes once a week, Friday or Saturday. The missus gets it done, and they, they want to go there, they want to go here. Take me to golf, take me to, and not until you get your stuff taken care of. So we try to hold them to that. It's not always easy.
But I know they have a busy lifestyle too, but we all have busy lifestyles. I can't add their chores to my day. But
too funny.
And no disrespect to them if they're listening. Hopefully they listen.
We love them, but it's going to teach them that eventually they're going to have to do it anyway, right?
Absolutely. I believe in it. I think that's the number one thing to stay on task is make sure your desk is free of clutter, your area is free of clutter, your office. I just feel like you already feel accomplished that you're in a beautiful space and you get to work and you have no distractions. I mean, that's how my mind works.
Absolutely. There's books written about make your bed. Just like Make Your Bed is the name of the book, and it's all about that simple discipline. I say God's in the details. The little details that make a big difference and can make a shift.
There was like a popular speech that I saw on YouTube of a military guy who talked about the importance of making your bed every single day, how it sets the tone. And even worst case scenario, if you had the worst day in the world, at least you come home to a made bed.
That's such a good point. I like that. It's great.
I want to talk about some of the wonderful things you have in your office there that I've noticed when I've gone there. I know you have like other services like spinal and knee decompression, cold laser therapy that have helped so many people rid themselves of pain, avoid drugs and surgeries, and regain their lives back. Could you tell us a little more about that and how they can help our listeners?
Yeah. Well, Nick, you mentioned in the beginning about like how I came to chiropractic. The one part of how I came to chiropractic was that chiropractor who was in the martial arts school. As I got older in my life and my journey, I've gotten injured myself. So being able to be compassionate and really connect with patients and be very empathetic to their issues is I myself have been through a lot of challenges, disc herniations, injuries where I've injured my hands, even not been able to practice at times because of my injuries. I'm well now because I've been able to use the therapies and the things that I brought into the practice for myself. I was skiing 23 years ago on Telluride and my shoulder separated, tore the ligaments. Right. Nothing helped. Physical therapy, massage, chiropractic, acupuncture, nothing helped. And this laser, a light that looks like you're being checked out at the grocery store, put on my shoulder by a friend. I go, what are you checking me out at the grocery store? I was a wise guy. Slept for the first time in 6 months. My wife said, I'm not going to let you not get it because I was able to sleep last night. You didn't wake me up. So within 1 month, I was back to playing tennis. And on post-MRI, which many people can't get, I got a post-MRI that actually showed change on the actual MRI from the healing of that ligament that was torn. Yeah. So it was really great. And since then, I've been using it on so many patients from anywhere from TMJ, disc herniations, plantar fasciitis, carpal tunnel, people with any type of neuropathy or disc issues where it radiates either sciatic down the leg or into the fingers and hands, but even organic issues. I've had patients with hiatal hernias, vertigo, a lot of other things that you don't think, and we're going to talk a little about in the future. I think we're going to talk about the fact that it's more than just back and neck pain. Yeah. The decompression for the spine and for the knee separates the spine up to 5.5 inches for the low back and up to 30 pounds of pressure on the knee. It separates those areas so there's blood flow can get kind of like a sponge that's dehydrated. It puts all that blood back into the discs and get into the meniscus or the knee to help really prevent that knee, the replacement or even the meniscus surgery. And back surgeries, unfortunately, they're the last case resort. You really don't want to be, going for that as well. So
I think anybody would recommend say the same. You don't want to. Last thing I think you want to do is operate on your back unless it's on, like no other choice. That sounds like some really interesting stuff. I mean, like you're kind of summarizing some of the things I've been going through. I was an athlete my whole life. Played soccer since I was 4. Always played flag football with my friends for many, many years. Played softball for many years. Played pickup basketball games for many years. One of my specialties was quickness, stopping on a dime, things like that. But I always knew in the back of my head that this may come back and bite me. So here I am, 52 years old. The knee pains, things like that, the ankle pains. Thank God, no back pains, no issues like that. I definitely pride myself on fitness in the sense of going to the gym, but the internal part is what's catching up to me. So, I'm definitely intrigued by your cold laser therapy, especially for the knees, and continuously to visit you at your practice, because I definitely think it could help. It's a shame, you could spend so much time working out on one area, but other parts of your body just kind of give out on you. And you automatically think surgery, like knee replacement. And I'm 52 years old. Like, I don't want to do knee replacement right now. I don't want to do it ever. So it's like to hear other alternatives, like why would you not try that,
Right. I think just lack of exposure, Nick, a lot of times people just don't have it, offered to them. If a doctor, the way they help you is either giving you drugs or injections, physical therapy or surgery, that's what they're going to offer. If they don't have the modality or the knowledge of the benefit of the modality, a lot of times. But actually recently, over the last few years, a lot more doctors, orthopedics, neurosurgeons, or even, pain management doctors have referred patients to me that really they just couldn't give any more epidurals. They're on the second, third epidural, and it's just not working. Yeah. And they send them to us in order to not have to continue to say, wait, you have to wait a while before we can do the next thing, or the next one on the docket is surgery. There's stuff in between those different procedures that a lot of people don't know is an option. That's why I love getting a chance to communicate and educate the public. I so appreciate the chance to be able to share, the option for people. Because
without a doubt. Hopefully people hear this. I mean, obviously, we'd love them to come to you, but just in general, just educating the public and making sure they know what's out there and try different. And again, this is no knock on doctors. I mean, they're saviors. They're a big reason why life expectancy is much greater. And,
absolutely.
We're never knocking them, but I think they'll tell you too, like surgery is not something we should be promoting. No one's ever really the same after surgery, let alone a knee replacement or back surgery. So if we can avoid that, I think doctors would agree with that too. So I think we're preaching the same language, you said this before, and I'll just ask you the question again. Could you explain how adjustments can help with other issues other than back or neck?
Sure.
I know you mentioned this at some presentations I've seen you, and it's very impressive. So if you could take a moment just to talk about that.
My pleasure. I kind of bring in my little models to show people because I'm a visual person anyway. So the bone is supposed to be holding the nervous system. So the spinal cord is housed in all these bones, about 24 movable vertebrae here, and thank God they move. And when they get stuck or out of position, that misalignment of the bone is called a subluxation. It's a fancy word for misalignment. Some people call that a pinched nerve because you would feel that either going from your neck down into your fingers and hands, into your shoulder blades, up into your head, causing headaches or sinus problems. And in the low back, it would go down into your leg or your foot or your ankle or your hip. So this subluxation, oftentimes, you can have it and not even feel it. So our job, you can see it, possibly seeing it being red, our job is to take that pressure off that nerve so that energy can flow. So the nerve messages from the brain and the spinal cord can go out to where that nerve goes to. And it goes to every cell, tissue, and organ. So if those nerves kink, I'm an Italian guy like you, so I have garden, right? And if your tomatoes aren't getting that water, right, and it's kinked, that hose is kinked, the only way to get that is to unkink the hose. It doesn't matter how much you change the sprinkler head. If that hose is kinked, you can't get that pressure off. And I've had many folks who are fit and healthy like yourself, great alignment because they have a good core, but then other things like extremities, like wrist, hands, and shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles are starting to kind of depreciate or degenerate because they're not getting the right nerve supply. So our job as a chiropractor and our unique approach is to find the structural misalignments, not just from what I feel, but we actually take x-rays and analyze the films, mark them with different degrees and angles to get the specific underlying cause of the problem, not just the symptom. So that's kind of our passion.
Any miracle stories that you want to share real quick?
Oh my gosh. Maybe? I have two though, two that I was thinking about. One was I was doing a report for one of my patients, going over her x-rays, saying how each level of the spine relates to different organs. So of course it goes to the sinuses, it goes to the thyroid, it goes to the lungs, heart, stomach. She stopped me at the lungs. She says, hold on, doc, you're telling me that a nerve going out of alignment from a pinched nerve from the subluxation can actually affect respiration, like asthma? She said, my husband's suffering for the last 20 years with asthma, using an inhaler. He's in his 40s. He puffs on it a little 3, 4, 5, 10 times a day. He's been in and out of the hospital, prednisone, all this type of stuff. And you're saying that chiropractic might be able to make an effect. So we checked him. Within 4 sessions, he got rid of his inhaler. So unfortunately, we don't have enough of those opportunities because, again, the doctors just aren't educated quite yet on that, about how the connection to the nerves in the spine relate to the different types of ailments like that. And the next one is a little baby that we took care of. Unfortunately, I was taking care of mom throughout pregnancy, and so she had a great delivery, but unfortunately was a little stalled, and they wound up using forceps on the baby's neck, and it put a lot of pressure on the top part of the neck called the brainstem, where all the nerves come from. And so that top part of the neck got stretched, twisted, and out of alignment, and the dad felt a big bony prominence when he was holding the baby. And so mom, of course, she was a patient prior, so brought him in, 2 weeks old, was having trouble breastfeeding and turning his head both ways, was very, not at ease, reflux and heartburn issues, and just not really quite well. Started adjusting the baby, and within a week or two of adjusting the baby slept perfectly, head turned wonderfully, just a new baby, and it's been a great, little Matthew's been a blessing. So these are the kind of things that we get to see.
That's awesome.
A lot.
Yeah, that's great stories. Good for you. Let's connect this back to the home now. I know you'd like to talk about the importance of posture. You specialize in structural correction of the spine, not just pain relief, which I love because you're looking to correct an issue, right? Not just make them feel good for a few weeks and then come back for another intake. Right. So do you have any recommendations for improving the posture at home, workplace? That's really what people don't realize. They're slowly but surely creating problems.
Sitting is the new smoking, Nick. Unfortunately, people don't realize that it's actually worse. The guy going up the ladder and doing a bunch of physical labor, even the jackhammer, is better than the guy sitting for 3, 4, 10 hours at a desk. We all talk about standing work desks. A lot of patients are doing that now. I'll write a little note, be able to get them the standing work desk, the ergonomics of their chair, the position of their computer screen, whether they're turning away from their computer on the phone while they're, so they're kinking their spines, and over years, the repetitive strain on the spine will start causing challenges. When you sit, you'll notice that there's different positions in the pelvis. This is actually a wedge that we actually have patients get that will actually change the position. So a lot of people have forward tilt in their pelvis where they have an anterior pelvic tilt where their spine kind of rounds and flattens. So this will pop you up and get you that normal curve in your low back. A lot of people have in their cars this type of device. I do as well. And you'll have a lumbar support. So you'll get a nice, and also chairs that have a lumbar support. But without that, it doesn't give you the right lift.
Yeah.
We also have patients work on the curve in the neck. How many of us have tech neck from being constantly in front of our screens? Even our children are starting to reverse their neck and get that dowager hump and scoliosis as a result. So we have different devices like this that are rolls and wedges to help change the angle and position of the neck to get that banana shape, that C-shaped curve back into the spine. So there's a lot of different things. I find that because we spend a third of our life in our bed, or maybe not everybody. Some people are 6 hours, some people are 8 hours. But if you add those 8 hours over your lifetime, it's about a third of your life sleeping. Many of us don't have the right type of bed. Either it's a memory foam that's releasing carcinogens and cancer-causing agents, or it's something that's a spring mattress that's pushing on your spine in different ways that's not supporting you as well. Or you have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on things that really that work.
Yeah.
We have different beds that have no carcinogens, that have memory foam but isn't too hot in the summer and not too cold in the winter.
Oh, I didn't know
so
that.
just the right thing. So we have different.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, we not in the office, but we recommend certain beds. So that's one. And then also the pillow we sleep on. A lot of us, in order to get that curve in our neck, many of us are kinked, too many pillows. Some of us have sinus issues or even apnea. So we have different ways of being able to change the structure and alignment, and we see changes in that. Wives thank us all the time. My husband doesn't snore anymore, or my wife is able to sleep through the night now. So that's kind of...
Yeah, I was just having this conversation with my support staff. We were talking about health. It comes up in conversation a lot. We're getting older and we're always looking to take care of ourselves. Work is crazy, our days are crazy, and we were just saying the same thing, that if you tally up the amount of time you actually sit at your desk and just sitting, not to mention all the stress that's coming in, the tension. I mean, it's hours and hours, and then on top of that, you're sitting in a car, sitting in traffic.
That's it.
I would think if my work day is 9-10 hours, I would say probably 5-6 I'm sitting. What I mean?
Absolutely.
It's not good. So always excuses to get up, to walk around. I got a secretary who bought a standing desk. He stands, which is great.
Okay.
But these small things you think are just typical daily routines, but they're slowly but surely, I think, affecting our health, affecting our gut, affecting our neck, affecting our spine.
Absolutely.
And then over time, you start to realize, why do I have this pain or I have that pain? And I think it's just small little things that we have to pay attention to and make adjustments.
Nick, it's a great observation. Many people are looking after a car accident, after a fall, a sports-related injury, a traumatic event, a slip and fall, down the steps. Many of those have happened in our early days, and when we're younger, we just kind of brush it off and keep going. Those are cumulative effects that when patients it just happened. It didn't just happen. It's like if you didn't brush your teeth for the last 25, 30, 40 years, what would your teeth look like? So there's dental hygiene's common sense, but spinal hygiene isn't there. That's my passion, to teach the planet about spinal hygiene, about proactive wellness care. Like, you don't need to have a pain or a problem to come see me or a chiropractor. And for all your listeners, if they're not close to us, or we may hopefully reach nationwide, we'll find them a chiropractor who has a similar approach, who works on the underlying cause and is more holistic in their approach. Not all chiropractors are the same. You find the one that works best for you. If we're the right office for you, great. We're not for everyone. And the ones that are ready for this type of wellness revolution.
Preventative, not reactive, right? That's
the
key. I think we always say that in the medical field, that unfortunately insurance only covers reactive stuff.
Now you have to wait till you're really sick and suffering first.
Exactly. But as humans, we got to take care of ourselves. And I think the proactive is the most important thing. So instead of waiting for that back pain or waiting for that sciatica or whatever that issue is, I think they should be speaking to someone like you and saying, hey, what are some tips that you can suggest for me to avoid these, inevitable problems based on the way I'm living my life. So, so a big problem in life is stress, right? We're all living in such a, fast-paced world, phones buzzing, long commutes, constant stimulation. What are some of the biggest stress patterns you see in your patients today, and how can chiropractic or holistic care help people reset or rebalance them?
Oh man, you really thought these questions out well. So what I find most, there's a hierarchy of stress. Hans Selye, back in the early 1900s, he found that there was about 100 highest level stresses, and actually, ironically, one of your industry, buying a house, is on one of the top 10.
Yeah.
And so, of course, getting married, having a child, loss of loved ones, that's the highest ones, unfortunately. But just getting back to buying a home, it releases a lot of what's called cortisol. You have on top of your kidneys these little walnut-sized glands called adrenal glands. We've all heard of adrenaline, right? The pumping through your body. It's great when you're in the athletics, or if you're, God forbid, in a fight or something, a flight or fight type of situation, it kicks into place. We know moms have been able to lift cars and buses off their children when their carriages get caught underneath and their babies are caught, or fight a bear and attack the bear to protect their child. But if we're doing that going to work or dealing with stresses, family, relationship, or health, these release cortisol and adrenaline, which will weaken your system. A lot of your listeners have woken up suddenly, no mechanical stress, not a workout, not a fall, nothing like that, and their back seizes up. Yeah. And that is oftentimes cortisol stress because the adrenal glands have overloaded the amount of adrenaline, and often it will overload into your lower back. Not at the very base, but right by the kidney area. And it will cause a spasm that almost will take your breath away. And people get very panicked because it affects the diaphragm and your ability to breathe. We know that anxiety, that like an elephant's on your chest, you can't breathe. This is where the adjustment, the realigning of that area, and some supplementation and just lifestyle changes like meditation and awareness, spiritual work can really shift that area. And then we can make some big changes in people's lives and help them with those new stresses.
Yeah. I mean, you said something with the moving and buying a home. That's like I think moving is one of the bigger stresses, points in people's life.
Absolutely.
One of the stressful moments in someone's life. Obviously, death's up there, losing a loved one, divorce.
Absolutely.
And that's why when people wonder, like, other than me loving, the topic of speaking about wellness and physical fitness, lots of times my clients, especially the clients that I specialize in, my niche, is estate sales, right?
Right.
Talk about loss of loved ones there. I get involved in a lot of distress sales. It could be divorce. That's a big one that I get involved in a lot. A lot of stressful situations. I deal with a lot of clients that are stressed and not happy. There could be financial problems. People selling their home. That's another part of distress. They can't afford the mortgage anymore. They lost their job. To have someone like you to learn a lot from you and share things with them in basic conversations. I always try to, when you're servicing a client, obviously you're selling a home, but you're also there for them too. And when you're a realtor, it's almost like you're a psychologist at times. You know what I mean? You listen, you listen to their issues, you listen to their problems, and you try to solve. And I could be a better problem solver having access to people like you that connect to my clients' stresses,
Absolutely.
Relocating, I deal with like 50, 60, 70-year-old clients that are selling a big home that they've lived in for 30 years.
Sure.
And they're moving into a small condo. The amount of support they need is tremendous. They're stressed, so...
They're getting rid of possessions they've been with their lives for their whole lives. So often the kids are out of the home at this point, and they're, dealing with that, I'm sure.
Obviously, I'm not Dr. John, but it's good to be educated in these things because you could talk, you could listen, you can provide support. And then, of course, if you feel the need of seeing a professional, it's good to have somebody that I could recommend. So I always appreciate your insight. It's like I'm drawn to it. I learn a lot, and it's definitely good for me and my clients, man.
Well, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Anybody you've sent to me have been great people, been able to help them, but also just great because knowing that you're a connector to all the different people, you're one of the most, just charismatic and, connected people, and your authenticity is just amazing. So you're able to really feel your energy, and that's why the friends we've met, you've done some great events that I've been to as well, and you have great causes that I love to be a part of. So you're right on the money.
Thank you for that. Let's get more into your practice now. I want you to talk a little bit more about yourself. I've heard you present, and was blown away by your passion, and your beliefs. So can you tell us how your practice works? For example, your initial assessment, consultation, like if someone came to see you for the first time.
Absolutely.
I've been through it. I thought it was amazing. If you could just talk about it in the next couple of minutes.
Well, I look at myself as a health detective, Nick. So I try to really get to the root cause. So you'll come in with, it just happened yesterday or 2 weeks ago or a week ago or some type of idea that it just happened. We have to kind of dig down, go down to those past injuries, history, where the stress is, sometimes the emotional stress that most people, especially the guys, tend to kind of blow off as, how does emotional stress lead into them? That's why we talked about the cortisol and the adrenaline. The body's run by hormones. So your dopamine and your serotonin, they talk a lot about how the phones affect that and just how, your sleep patterns and, the epinephrine and norepinephrine and all these natural hormones that are released with a sauna or doing a cold plunge or meditation, which is great stuff that's really, powerful. But the adjustment itself, when we actually find that misalignment, oftentimes at the top part that like Matthew had, it's not maybe as grossly misaligned because he was more, of course, ligament ligamentous and, not fully formed. So it's very, different to adjust a little infant. But as an adult, that starts to fuse. So let's say Matthew never got adjusted and then he's our age, right? And he's had this misalignment that's caused sinus and allergies for years or has caused pressure. So when we take our analysis, we have different ways of evaluating the spine. One of the ways that we do it is we do a postural analysis where we step you on 2 scales, which measure your weight distribution, have you close your eyes, and we see how much weight is on one side more than the other. This tells us what the neurological messages from your brainstem are doing, and it gives us a kind of almost an objective view into your brain. And if there's more than 2 to 3 pounds difference between left and right, I don't know if you remember yours, but I think it was double digits, and so many people will deal with that and not realize that they're out of position. Maybe they notice themselves in the mirror or in a photo. They'll notice a short, the tailor always has to shorten one side of their leg. They have a short leg. It's not anatomical. Most of the time it's structural and can be corrected. So that's one tool that we use with the analysis. Then we also do a computerized analysis, which will measure up the spine to check where the nerves are subluxated or misaligned. And so if we can see where those bones are out of alignment, green is normal, yellow mild, orange moderate, and then red is severe. So if you have severe or moderate to severe pressure on the brainstem or any level of the spine that we find, that's another indication that you're out of alignment and you're a great candidate for chiropractic. After that, we do a hands-on exam where we do what's called touch and tell. That's where I can feel where the misalignments are and go, hey, Nick, you've been having some heartburn? And you're like, how'd you know? I didn't even tell you. So we can find, or a gal might have menstrual issues. And I'll say, do you have cycle challenges that maybe they're out of balance or they're painful? So we get to find these different issues without even patients sometimes telling us because the spine tells us. And then we finally take some films, some x-rays of the spine, radiographs, which I analyze with specific measurements that we go over the second time you come back. We give you an informational of all the different areas or report of the findings. And then from there, you can decide whether you want to go through whatever your goals are, whether you just want crisis relief or you want corrective care. So you have some different options. So we offer that to all the folks. And those first 2 that I just mentioned, the scan and the posture, will extend to any of your folks that mention your podcast. We'll extend to them the opportunity to come in for a complimentary consultation, and those 2 analyses is initially to see if it's something that fits their needs.
That. So if you hear that, guys, definitely make an appointment. See it. I went through it myself. Definitely eye-opening. Especially the weight. I would think I wasn't double digits, but I was like 7 pounds maybe.
2 to 3 is within normal limits, so
yeah, I was definitely
it's not crazy, but
more than normal. That was eye opening, and my shoulders not being straight, my ears being off a little bit. I was like, wow.
Most people don't observe themselves that way. You don't get to see yourself in a mirror with strings and alignments and things like that. So it's kind of neat.
Interesting stuff. So I definitely recommend. Hopefully, whoever's listening to this, hopefully somebody is.
Whoever's supposed to be will be, right? That's how it goes, right?
It's true. And give John a call for sure, and I'll give you his contact info at the end. I guess we already answered this question. I was going to ask you who should see a chiropractor, but I think everybody should kind of in some way see and analyze and be preventive.
It's a great point. People are motivated by what? Usually either pleasure or pain, and most of the pain is a good motivator, more so, right? You invest when you're in crisis, or we'll take, you don't put tape over your check oil light waiting for the engine to blow up. You'll change the oil if the light goes on. If you're noticing that the tires are wearing, your alignment's off, you're going to get your car aligned, not just change the tire, because then you're just taking care of the symptom. But in our health, we do that with a Tylenol or an Advil or an ibuprofen, or we do that with just an epidural shot, or just maybe it will go away, or it went away, it's good, and then it just keeps rearing its ugly head into the point that it's not as easy to correct or take care of. So the earlier that you can get to it, my favorite patients are the ones that come in once a week or every other week just for wellness, for just a tune-up. Just they know the benefit. It's kind of like their healthcare, insurance plan. Not like insurance, but it's really proactive health. They'll get adjusted. They'll feel on the way to yoga, on the way to the gym, someone like yourself who's very athletic and very fit, but you still just don't feel quite right in some areas. Things might be off, whether it's that knee, whether it's the spine. But even people who don't hurt, when they get adjusted, they can breathe deeper. They feel more relaxed and zen. It's almost like you took a yoga class for an hour in a 2-minute adjustment. It's really cool.
I've been to your practice and I felt that. Obviously my neck is my bigger issue.
Yes.
Obviously when you adjust that, it feels great, but it's the breathing and you go back to, how adjusting the spine, like you're not adjusting my diaphragm, right?
Right.
Adjusting the spine and the neck. And I do walk out of there feeling like, there's not so much pressure on in the stomach area. I feel like I can breathe a little bit better. It's just a matter of just going more often and being there as much as I possibly can. And that's where you got to put yourself first.
Nick, I'm just going to mention, just because we have, a captive audience here, just want to mention a few other conditions that we've seen really great things. IBS and irritable bowel and issues with the digestive system, whether it be constipation, diarrhea, or just overall imbalance in the intestinal system, is a really great way that we can help with that as well. My wife has had challenges in that area. I myself had a resection as an infant, didn't even know that it could affect you into years later. Just by getting adjusted. Other areas, the sinus and allergy system, which really plagues a lot of folks, between the adjustments, some lifestyle changes, and some supplements, we really have been able to help patients who've suffered for years with allergies and sinuses. It's so debilitating for people. So my kind of goal is to really help people to ease human suffering through the adjustment of the spine. Most people think it's just a back and neck pain problem. If we can get just a few percent more than what we have now to be able to understand that concept, I think we can make the planet a lot healthier. Yeah. And then we're not just relying on that sick care that we have, the system that waits till you're sick before you can get help.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of my intention.
That's a great segue to our next part, healthy choices and lifestyle. So we'll finish with some good suggestions for our audience, right? We both have kids. You have 3, I have 4, and are based in Long Island, which is a very busy, stressful area to live, especially New York in general. We both work very hard. Travel in and out of Long Island. I travel to Queens, back and forth. We sit in lots of traffic, tons of kid activities, managing a business, our home, always worried and thinking about our future, our loved ones, how we're taking care of our kids and their future, college, things like that. That's what I'm in the midst of right now. It can really keep you up at night and hurt us mentally, internally, and ultimately physically, I think, right? I think you would agree with that, right? So let's take turns about, how we fight that stress off and how it makes us feel, when we do it, if you don't mind. I'll go first if you want.
I want to, yeah, definitely.
And for me, I always was an athlete growing up. Soccer was big in my life. And like I said before, playing pickup basketball, flag football, those type of things, softball, hanging out with friends, sports related. I didn't realize when I was a kid that was a stress reliever. When I got into my 30s, I started having children. I had 4 kids in about 5 or 6 years,
That could put a little stress on the system.
Absolutely. Some career changes, great career changes, right? But a lot of pressure with work. Ended up having my first child, found out he was autistic, right? That's some stress. Had a second, had a third, had a fourth. All blessings, no regrets. Having 4 kids in 5 years, all amazing. I'm glad we did it quickly the way we did because they're growing up together. But all my sports and all my activities and all my stuff with my friends and getting out and all stopped. I started putting on a few pounds. Didn't even realize I was putting on a few pounds, to be honest. I just felt like it was just a natural progression. In your 30s, you start to gain some weight, and it is what it is. I think I was like 37, had a very big health scare. I thought I was having a heart attack. It ended up being just a panic attack. I was shocked that it was a panic attack. I could have sworn I was having heart issues. I was going to see cardiologists, like there's something wrong, And they kept saying the same thing. It's probably anxiety. And I'm like, when do I have anxiety? I don't stress. But you don't realize that even though you handle stress well and it looks like you're handling it well, it's still internally affecting you. Right?
Absolutely.
And I think it's even worse when you handle it well because you don't think it's a problem until all of a sudden one day you wake up and you think you're having a heart attack. And that was an eye-opener for me, but not enough for me to actually hit the gym or start doing anything. Just like I have this issue and I have to be mindful of it, The recommendations were possibly, reducing the workload, which wasn't possible. Obviously, I have my kids. I could get rid of the kids,
That's not going to change,
And some of it was even taking like Valium or stuff like that, Xanax or something. And I'm like, I just can't do that. Started developing heartburn. Started taking medicine for the heartburn. And then I started hearing stories about how this medicine that you take for heartburn can cause like Alzheimer's and dementia, things like that.
Sure.
That was the big clincher. Like, what's the answer? Like, what is the... how do I correct this problem? And started saying, you know what? I have to get back to being active. I have to force it. It is what it is. So started by joining the gym. I was like, enough is enough. I'm tired of being out of shape. I don't feel good. I'm always lethargic. I look at myself in the mirror. I feel like I'm drawn and I feel like I'm pale. And so I joined the gym. I joined LA Fitness in New Hyde Park for 3 years, commitment. My wife thought I was crazy. She's like, how can you pay? It was a special, $900 for 3 years. So I'm like, that's actually not a bad deal. I'll do it and it'll commit me.
Right.
And I knew mentally I was committed. I knew it. Right. But my wife was like, you just threw away $900. And I was like, no, I think this is going to stick. I really do, because my life really has just changed for the worst in terms of...
It was time. You were ready.
I wasn't like... People always say, but you never struck me as a guy overweight. But for me, in my body frame, I was definitely overweight. I think I weighed like 185 pounds. I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'7". You know, it was all very little muscle. You know what I mean? So that's not good.
Right.
My body frame really should be around 155. You know, 160, depending on my muscle mass, things like that. So I had a lot of excess weight on me. Got into the gym, just started doing routines, lifting this, lifting that. Did it for about 6 months. Felt a lot better just in the routine of working out. Just mentally felt better. Wasn't seeing the physical change just yet, but mentally felt really, really good. Started to get into like the research now. Like I want to start seeing benefits of my labor, you know, my hard work. Started looking into like how to really work out properly, the importance. Then I started learning about the importance of putting on muscle, resistance training, you know, strength training, things like that. How it's so much better for you than just running on a treadmill or stuff. And started finding it like where you got really passionate about chiropractic. I started getting really passionate about training and working out and changing my life. And so I went from like 40 years old to starting till about like 43, completely changed, lost like 30 pounds.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which is, you know,
so you went back to that ideal weight, that 155?
155. I even got as low as the 148.
Wow.
I was really like 8% body
You must have been ripped. You must have really felt great.
Yeah. Felt amazing. Very confident, you know, unbelievable. No more medication for heartburn. No more heartburn.
Oh, fantastic.
And that's the honest truth. You know, I'm not just making up stories. I didn't have to take it anymore because my diet was good. The belly fat was gone.
That's great.
And whenever I put on, like if I get into like this last 4 or 5 months, I haven't been the best. So I started inching up to like in the 160s again, 165. The heartburn comes back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Just when those 10 pounds.
Automatic. So, and when I get back down to the low 160s, 150s, I feel better. It's just in so many ways. So it's like a religion to me at this point. It's like
That's great.
It's a must routine. I've beaten stress. I've beaten anxiety. When I don't go to the gym, especially for a bad week of not going to the gym, I feel
building up.
Yeah. When I go, I could wake up in the morning. It's like I have a very tense meeting coming up or a very busy day. Go to the gym, lift heavy stuff. I walk out of the gym 7 in the morning. I'm walking out, showered, steam, like you said, steam room, all that stuff, stretched, lifted heavy stuff. I walk out of there like I take on the world.
That's great. That's amazing.
Whatever I'm worried about, I'm not really worried about anymore. It's like I already beat the day. I feel like by walking out. I've never had a moment where I left the gym at 7 in the morning saying what a bad decision it was.
Right.
But I've always been like, I missed the gym today. Like I hate myself.
I feel like something was missing.
Yeah. So it's a must. And if not everybody wants to hear the stories about working out. Some people are like, he just keeps talking about working out. But to me, it's like the way you're so passionate about chiropractor connects with me in the way I'm so passionate about physical fitness.
That's amazing.
I feel like everybody should be doing something for self-care, self-love. Just a big believer, starting my day with a little bit of faith, health, and people say, well, why do you put health in front of family? Because if I'm not healthy, how am I taking care of my
Right, absolutely.
How am I working? How am I providing? So health is right there. And then, of course, it's making sure my family's good, working hard. And then, of course, friends, sports, things like that I can still do, thank God, in this point in my life.
That's great.
Game changer, John. Like, changed my life big time.
What I love, Nick, you can see your passion comes out. You can see, like, I'm talking about chiropractic, you're talking about that. And, it's great that you're able to juggle and have that be a central part of your life because you're actually releasing cortisol when you're pushing those and pushing all the toxins out of your body, and then you add a sauna onto that, and also mentally, starting with faith and spiritual grounding. These are things that have been researched. Now there's actually very, very reputable journals that are proving neuroscience is proving the connection to everything you're saying. So it's not just a luxury for you; it's a necessity. Yep. And if more and more of us can do it, and you've inspired me. Been working out with my son, my 15-year-old. It really makes a big difference, and sometimes we all can get into those ruts. What I love about you also is that you're persistent. And you're just like you are when you sell a home. You don't stop. You keep going for it. And that's the same thing with your health. You say get a little off track and get right back on. And that's something that's inspirational to me. Yeah. And just your connection to your family and just your priorities. Even today, we might have had to reschedule because you have to go to an event for your son. So I love that we're definitely family person, and that's family people, and that's really super important as well.
Yeah,
so.
Without a doubt. It's just it's so important. I hope if anybody gets out of this, out of this podcast today, whether listening to you speak so well or what I'm sharing, is that you just take the time to take care of yourself. I think it's important. Taking on the physical challenge every day gives me that confidence to also take on the work challenge and the daily challenges. The struggles that, starting up a business, taking on a new task. You think, well,
absolutely.
If I could accomplish this, I'm able to accomplish something else too. So. Great experience for me. I love it. I could see myself doing it the rest of my life, God willing.
That's great.
And, sometimes, like the gym doesn't solve all the problems, and that's where someone like you comes into effect. That's also great too. So I'm learning that as I get older too. I was all about resistance training. I do like what they call circuit training, where like I bounce around from different body parts, gets my heart going. I'm lifting as heavy as I can with good form, of course. And I'll just bounce around from 3 different exercises to get the heart going. I'm sweating. So I feel like I get my cardio while I'm doing that. But the problem is, as I get older, I realize I got to spend some time stretching. I got to spend some time doing the mobility exercises too, because when you work out, yes, you develop muscle, you lose some weight maybe, but you find yourself being more stiff, and stiff can cause more problems too.
That's a great point.
So that's where I'm not an expert. I'm not a professional trainer or dietitian, but like you started to learn great things before you actually got your degree. I feel like I learned a lot during my path.
That's
the
it.
way you did too. And
I think the key word, Nick, is balance, right? So that's really what you're talking about. It's also not being forgiving on yourself as well. A lot of times what we do is we get discouraged, we psych ourselves out. If we go off track, either on a diet or, some type of, workout routine, we just go, screw it, we're just not going to move forward. I think the persistence and the idea that, say, every day is a new day.
Yep.
And, you take that one day on and you only put one foot ahead of the other and just keep going towards your goals. And I think that's the biggest thing that I find for you is that you really are persistent. You juggle so many things. They say give a busy person something and they'll get it done, right? A lot more efficient than somebody. And I don't know anybody more busy than you, but you don't do it in a chaotic way. You still stay grounded, and it's really inspirational that way. And I think, like you said, part of that is that you start the day, what they say is you eat the biggest frog, or you get the biggest thing at the beginning of the day, which once you do that, you almost had a whole day before you even started. Some people even woke up in the morning. So that's something that's inspired me as well with you.
Thank you. Like the other day, I think it was Saturday, I was up early Saturday, went to the gym first thing, and it was, I think 12:30 p.m., and I was getting a little tired. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why am I tired at 12:30? And then it dawned on me, and I've been up since 5, and I've done A, B, C.
Yeah.
I've been up like 7 hours. I put a full day's worth of work in already between taking care of myself, doing my real estate work and family and stuff.
Sure.
So I don't know. It's like, it's a good feeling when like the day is really just beginning, like 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and I already did a lot and got a lot accomplished. It's a great thing. So waking up early, taking care of yourself, getting that exercise in, you're also surrounded by good people, like people that have the same mindset as you.
That's very true.
You, right? When you're in the gym, you're surrounded by people that want to be healthy. It motivates you. When you're not there, it's like you lose that inspiration. So, good stuff.
I love it.
So it's been great conversation as expected, John.
Yeah.
Sorry to see it end. I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to maybe having another session in the near future, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Before we wrap it up, what's one message you'd like to leave our listeners about living a more aligned and balanced life, if you want to say it like that?
Well, this is absolutely a pleasure as well. I want to finish with a little story that kind of inspires me thinking about the story. I'm going to talk about a woman back about 50 years ago. She was pulling a big heavy bag in Europe, and she had a pop in her low back, and it affected her menstrual cycle. She actually couldn't get her menstrual cycle after that snap in her back. So she came back from Europe and back to the United States, and she went to all the different doctors. They wanted to give her medications and birth control and things to get her cycle back on track. And her sister knew a chiropractor. She went to the chiropractor. After a few adjustments, she started getting her cycle back. And after that, she actually named the goddaughter for her daughter. The godfather was a chiropractor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's really connected. And then the son was born about 4 years after that. And he was born with a tumor the size of a baseball in his intestines, very sick, didn't really thrive too well. They took the tumor out, so modern medicine saved his life by taking the tumor out. And then as they resectioned it, his health didn't really kick in until about 2-3 years of age. He started, because of all the anesthesia, medications, he started getting a lot of bronchial asthma, ear infections, clogged tubes in the ears. So at about 6, 7, 8 years old, he started getting those tubes drilled into the ears, tonsils taken out, adenoids taken out, all these different procedures that were helping to try to relieve the pressure. Each time they put the tubes in the ears, the body kept rejecting the tubes out. At about 9 years old, he had the option to get the tubes drilled into his ears without any anesthesia, because the anesthesia would make him so sick. So at 9 years old, he held his mom's hand, almost broke it, and as they drilled the tubes into his ear with no anesthesia, a few weeks later, the tubes popped right out of his ear again. So this is what kept on happening, and then he started developing bronchial asthma and needed the inhalers, the preventals, and all the medications for breathing. All this suffering he had, and never got checked by that chiropractor who was his sister's godfather. So as I became a chiropractor, I found that story out, because that story affects me so much, because that was me. I was that little kid who suffered and never had the opportunity to get chiropractic. And so I swore when I heard that message that I'm going to make sure that I share with everybody out there that this is not just about back and neck pain, not that we don't get great results with those symptoms, and that can really debilitate your life, but it's really about your wellness, your well-being, your spine, what we call the neurostructural, neuroorganic connection, meaning the spine relates to every organ, cell, and tissue in the body. If you free that tension up, free that alignment, open up that nerve system, can change your life and optimize it to your best potential. And that's kind of my mission. And I so thank you for giving me the opportunity to share that. This platform has been amazing. And
pleasure, man.
Being with you anytime is always a great vibe.
You didn't disappoint. You definitely shared everything. And I'm glad I know people that listen to this are really going to enjoy the content that you're sharing. So we'll definitely put it out there. And for those that want to connect with you, learn about your practice, come see you, what's the best way they should reach you?
Sure.
What's your address and so forth?
Sure. So RhinoChiropractic.com makes it really easy, RHINO, like a rhinoceros, charging toward your optimal health. So you'll remember Rhino probably before you remember Dr. John Gehnrich, which is my last name. And then also our practice is right now 25 years this year. 2000 we opened in Rockville Center at 25 South Park Avenue in Rockville Center. Some people who know that area, it's right down the street from Croxley Ales, across the street from Churchill's. It's right on that main street there. That we just had the opportunity over this last month to actually, there's so many people on the North Shore and in this upper area that has not been able to get my services because it's just too far for them to get down there. So I just had the opportunity to, now in East Hills, we have a satellite location, which has some tables and an opportunity to check some people up in this direction.
You'll be seeing me a lot there now.
14 Glen Cove Road over in East Hills. It's about 2-3 minutes up from Kitchen Cabaret or the 495.
It's a free plot.
So it's so easy, right on the right-hand side. So it's the last
free shout out to Kitchen Cabaret.
There you go. We'll give it to them. They didn't give us any props or any food, but it's a great place.
They're a great place. I'm so excited that you're there, because I live not too far from there.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely like to come see you, and I want to see you more often. So being close to home is going to be great for me. And also, I rave about you all the time when people talk about having any issues. I need to see a chiropractor. Obviously, recommending you is big, but I know a lot of people in the North Shore going from north to south, as you know, could be brutal.
Yep.
So people always think twice, but the thought that you're there too, it's it's going to be great to help out the North Shore folks as well.
Beautiful.
So I'm happy you're there. Look, we welcome you to the area, to the North Shore. I hope you love it.
It's great.
Some people don't leave. You may end up moving here. And I know a good realtor too.
That's awesome.
So Dr. John, thank you so much for joining me today.
Nick, thank you. I
love how you connected the importance of wellness and having a positive mindset and living that healthy lifestyle. It really ties into the average person, that I see every day. And we're really thankful to have you. All right.
Thank you so much, Nick. It's been a pleasure.
So again, guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to follow and subscribe to Nick Sforza's YouTube channel. Please follow me on Instagram and TikTok. We not only talk real estate trends and real estate business, but we also incorporate content about local community events, local businesses, and most importantly, healthy lifestyle tips. So I'm Nick Sforza, owner-broker of the Manhasset Realty Group. And again, if you're thinking of selling or listing your home, please reach out to us. I'd be happy to help each and every one of you. Take care. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Be well.